the things we say around Ramsey all the time is personal finance is 80% behavior. It's only 20% head knowledge, and getting the guy in the mirror to behave is the battle. And you've got a lot to say on that subject. So talk about what you've discovered around the correlation between just a mental stability, a mental maturity, mental health maturity, and that how that correlates to wealth.
Well, it's easy to presume that the reason people are poor is because they don't have enough money. But that's an oversimplification. Very few complex things are attributable to a single cause. I had lots of clients who were much better off when they had no money at all. Those were often people who had addiction problems, because as soon as they had any money at all, they're just in the bar and into the cocaine until they were face down in a ditch. And so there's all sorts of causes of poverty, and certainly one form of poverty and one cause of poverty is absence of a plan. I mean, you need to develop a vision for your life, and that makes delaying gratification, for example, and not engaging in impulsive momentary pleasure worthwhile, because you're building towards something that you actually want to attain. And we're very, very bad in our society, like appallingly and miraculously bad at helping people develop a vision. We don't do it with students in school, for example, not at all. And it's really, like I said, it's a miracle of stupidity. So it truly is. It's the number one thing we should be teaching people, and we don't do it at all. Who do you want to be and why? What do you want your life to look like in 5 years? What are you building towards? Why are you gratification, assuming you are? Why are you saving, for example, or working? Like, what's your vision? What makes it worthwhile? And how do you even come up with a notion like that?
And the strange thing is when you have a vision that's very, very clear and high definition, burnout just kind of goes away. You get tired, like your schedule has been horrendous, but you're not burnt out. You're probably tired, but you're not burnt out.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, all the positive emotion we feel, that except for the type that is just a consequence of basic satisfaction, the sort of satisfaction you might have after a big meal. All the enthusiasm and excitement and hope and curiosity, essential meaning in life, all of that is experienced in relationship to a goal. When you see yourself moving towards a goal, then you're inspired. You have hope, you have enthusiasm, you have energy. You can communicate effectively and enthusiastically. No goal, you have none of that. No vision, no goal. So you're not going to get tired and feel, what would you say, hard done by, if your sacrifices and the difficult things that you're endeavoring to do are clearly worthwhile by your own definition. And one of the things I do, I have an exercise online it's at selfauthoring.com, called Future Authoring. And we built this to help people develop a vision. And one of the things we ask people to do is just to sit for 15 minutes, write for 15 minutes. Badly, here's the game. Imagine you were taking care of yourself like someone you cared for. So imagine someone you care for and pretend that's you. Maybe it's a son or a daughter or a friend. Now imagine 5 years down the road. You can have what you want and need. You can be who you are, but you have to figure out what it is. What is it? What do you want? What do you need? And don't worry about getting it right. Just get it down for 15 minutes. That's a good start. The whole exercise you can do in about 90 minutes, but we had students do that, say, before they went to university. And just doing it for 90 minutes, developing that vision, dropped their dropout rate 90 or 50%, and increased their grade point average 35%. And that just shows you how badly it had been done before, because students went to university with no vision. They had no idea what they were doing there. And so, of course, half of them didn't succeed because they had no idea why they were doing anything. Well, that's not helpful or wise. And the reason that's the case, by the way, is because our school system was set up to produce mindless, obedient workers essentially by fascists at the end of the 1800s. And that's well documented historically. It was based on the Prussian military model, and they wanted to produce obedient soldiers. And we haven't updated our notion of what schools are for 140 years.
Yeah. Ken Coleman says we've not made pathfinders, we've made test takers.
If that, we're not even very good at that.
Well, Dr. Peterson, I'm curious.
Pathfinders.
We have so many similar principles. We want to help people avoid the pitfalls of education and debt. And we're both kind of truth tellers in a world gone mad. And that can be countercultural, controversial, offensive at times. What is the secret sauce to really connecting with those people and getting them to change the paradigm and actually getting out of debt or doing that hard thing?
Well, I think a huge part of that is to get them to start conceptualizing themselves as people who could be pursuing a goal that they found compelling rather than people who are driven by circumstances. I think it's 35-40% of young Americans now feel they have no agency in their life. And you say, well, how do you have to entice people into, I suppose, the hypothesis of a vision. And you do that with, well, this meditative exercise, for example, that I described. Just imagine for a moment that you could have what you needed and wanted. And I mean, literally imagine that. Daydream like you did when you were a kid. Now, you want to bind that with a little bit of intelligent rationality. You don't want to be, if you're starting from scratch, maybe you don't want to be thinking that in 5 years you're going to inhabit a 350-room mansion, in Malibu. Although stranger things have happened to people, you want to develop your vision within the realm of possibility, but that doesn't. And you should be honest enough with yourself so it's actually something compelling to you. The other thing we ask people to do, and I'm talking about this because it's very practical, is you might say, well, I don't know what I want. It's like, okay, well, what other people have that seems to work for them? You probably want a relationship. What's your vision for that? You probably want to have something approximating a family of some sort. What's your vision for that? Even if it's your parents, not children necessarily, not even a wife necessarily, some family connections, some friendships, some job or career, some educational goals, some strategy for dealing with temptations. That's 5 things. Some conception of how you would use your time intelligently outside of work. Some conception of how you might, what would you say, uphold your civic responsibility.
Yeah.
There's sources of meaning that people generally have.